Real success is not just about what you achieve, it's about what you are able to feel, hold, and receive. People who are achieving, leading, holding everything together, yet quietly questioning why success still feels incomplete.
I was highly functional. From the outside, if you met me, I am this really happy, highly functional person where my only belief was I'm worth nothing. Healing is not a destination, it's a journey. You decide every day, I'm going to heal. It's a daily choice. I'm going to heal from this. And this is the step that I take.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Redesign Your Life Today, the podcast where transformation becomes tangible, where we move beyond external success and into true inner alignment. Because real success is not just about what you achieve, it's about what you are able to feel, hold, and receive. And today, I've got this pleasure of welcoming a very special guest, well, who is actually a dear friend. It's Nazirra Shaik, and Nazirra speaks about into the truth that many feel, but fewer can fully express. Nazirra is a transformational voice for those who appear strong on the outside, but carry something heavy and unresolved within. Her work was not built from theory, it was born in the middle of her own storm. She works with high functioning individuals, people who are achieving, leading, holding everything together, yet quietly questioning why success still feels incomplete. Nazirra brings a deeply honest and spiritual perspective into personal transformation. She reminds us that fulfillment is not about what we accumulate, but about our capacity to receive and hold it internally. Her book, Rebel Soul, was not written from a place of having arrived, but from the raw, real process of becoming. And that's exactly what makes her voice so powerful. This conversation is not about surface level success. It's about healing the part of you that believes you are not enough so you can finally feel the life you've worked so hard to build. So, Nazirra, again, a very warm welcome to the
Thank you,
show.
Daniel. Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you for having me on your show. It's been long waiting. I'm aware of it. We
no,
have
yeah,
rescheduled this for the longest time. I'm thankful you waited for me. One of the reasons, like when we spoke about when we were texting each other and trying to arrange is I wanted to finish my book and I wanted to complete that very important part of my life. And then I felt I would have a lot more to say and I would be in a position to share my journey in a much clearer way. So hence all the delays
well,
we
you
had.
see, Nazira, now we know that everything happens in divine timing. Everything.
Perfectly said.
So,
That's my belief. That's my motto.
well, you see, the Nazira. So basically, I gave a kind of a brief introduction, but I'd like you to tell us a little more about you. Who is Nazira, and what makes you do what you do today? What's your story, Nazira?
Well, my story started from my pain point where I was at the lowest in my life and I had struggles. I had trauma where my self-worth was zero.
Mhm.
I was highly functional. From the outside, if you met me, I am this really happy, highly functional person. I had a business. I was working for someone at a pretty senior level. I was running my own business at one point, and but internally, I was so not aligned. I was so not connected with myself. Um, there are days I would wake up and I won't be able to breathe. There are days I would wake up and feel I've got no self-worth, and I was living a life that was not mine. I would wake up and feel that no, that I am just not worth anything.
Mhm.
But when I was going through this process, what I discovered is, while I was analyzing myself and seeing why I had the same patterns repeat in my life for the last, I don't know how many decades, I would say 3 decades, it repeated, 4 decades it was repeating, was the belief I had within myself, where my only belief was, I'm worth nothing. Everything I receive, everything I hold, everything that is mine is not mine, and I'm not worthy of it. And in my book, I'm also the author, like you introduced me, of Rebel Soul, where I've written in my book, I lived in a 3-story house. And when I first walked into that home, the back of my head, I kept thinking, I don't belong in this house. This house is just not me. This house is not mine. Why do I have a house like this? Those who look at me are going to think, wow, does she think she's so great? Are people going to think that I'm showing off? And what did I do to deserve this house? Why do I have it? Why not someone else? Why am I worth this? With all that belief, within 3 years, I lost everything. From living in a house that was 3 stories with so many bedrooms and with everything that I wanted, I moved into a 1.5 bedroom apartment with my 3 daughters, myself, and my dog. I was living there, sleeping on the floor, and I was thinking to myself, how did I get here? And that was my tears. How did I get here? Every day I would cry. How did I get here? And on top of it, I had a mortgage that I couldn't pay. I had like so much loans I didn't know how I was going to pay. And I didn't know how I was going to come out of it. But there was one thing, like you said, divine timing. You said that everything happens in a divine timing. And it is that divine timing that helped me. Something snapped at me and made me see there is a pattern. It's not the first time this has happened to me. It has happened to me over several decades, where I have risen and then I would drop, where I would go up and then I would drop, I would go up and I'll drop. But it was my thinking. It is my belief that I was never enough for anything. I was never good enough. And everything I receive, everything I get, everything I have would eventually leave me. One way or other, it would go. So, why am I even holding on to it? Is it going to stay? Is it not going to stay? Is it going to stay? Is it not going to stay? That was what was always playing in my head. And finally, it does go. There was a pattern, and that was my turning point. When I saw, I didn't clearly see it. When I realized there's something that's happening. And that made me start on this journey, where I started looking into what my thought process was. Why was I thinking like that? Where did it come from? Where did this belief originate? Why was it everything I earned was not staying with me? Why did I lose everything at the end of the day? Why was I always in debt? And, when you have all of this going on, there are lots of people who say, affirm yourself, use these affirmations. I am beautiful. I am good. I am great. But that was not enough, was it? Deep down in my heart, I have this belief that I'm not good enough. I'm just piling on top of it with these words, where in my heart, I was not good enough. And I needed to work on, I am not good enough. I needed to work on, I don't have self-worth. I needed to work on, I am no one. That's where I began. I began this long journey, and I'm still on this journey. This is a journey, it's not a destination. No matter what, it's not a destination. This is a journey you walk, and I still walk that journey. And how I started this, I started picking up free podcasts. I started picking up free YouTube channels. I started listening. I started analyzing myself with what I picked up. I would find the cheapest courses that was available for a few dollars. And there were many amazing coaches and healers who offered that. Blessings to them, and thank God for them. I was able to get on the journey, and I started on this healing myself. And while I was going through that journey, I realized something. There are many men and women out there who've gone through so much trauma, but they're highly functional. They go to work, they hold these most senior positions. They can do, on the outside, they're completely functional. They can do anything that's required of them. But inside, they are not able to think straight. And they're going through so much of trauma and pain. And they just don't know where that starts. And I started writing my book. I started writing this self-help book, where the book is about, my book is not a storybook. This is a self-help book where I talk about the pain I have gone through. I talk about the difficulties I've gone through. And I talk about how I have changed my life, how I have corrected myself each and every time. What are the changes I've made? What are the questions I ask myself? What are the differences I made? And that's how I started walking this path. And I started developing this book. It took me more than a year with countless corrections till the point it went to print. My book was being changed. My words were being changed because I needed it to reflect me so much. I kept correcting it till the last point. Still feel I could have made more corrections, but then I had to stop at one point. And I published my first book. So I gave birth to my book. That's what I would say. From all the pain that I've had, all the trauma that I've had, and from that, the growth that came from me, the growth that happened to me. And I want to share that with the people so that they can find help. They can reach out to something that's going to help them heal. That's going to get them on the journey. Just get on the journey. Once you're on the journey, the right teachers will come in front of you. The right people will open the doors. The door that needs to open will open. You just need to take the first step. That's where I think.
Wow. I mean, again, it's such a beautiful story, and I've got even
Thank you.
goosebumps, I have to say, when I listen to you, Nazira, and because I share a lot of what you mentioned. I mean, personally, and you see, there's one expression which a lot of us use: "I'm not good enough." Right? Okay.
Yes.
Can you just tell us a little, because we think it's just us and everybody else is great and they're all, but okay, where does it come from? Where does it come from, in this feeling of not being good enough? And what can we do? Well, what are kind of some of the first steps we can do just to remember that actually we are worth everything and that we've got everything in ourselves?
I'll go back to your statement again. Divine, divine, divine.
Mhm,
God gave us this life, and He knows we are worth everything.
mhm,
He knows that we are His creation and His love, no matter what belief that you have. You believe in whichever religion, whichever, whatever it might be, religion, faith, whatever it might be, whatever practice that you have. We are created in the form of divinity. We are created in the form of love.
mhm,
But once we come out into earth, there are tests that we go through. It could be childhood things that has happened, a small trauma that has gone through. And many times it's not a small trauma. It is a buildup of events that has happened for us, to us over the years of time. And
uh-huh,
from there, it could be a mom who tells you when she is very busy and she says, not now, wait, not now, I do not have the time for you. It could be a dad, I'm on the phone, leave me alone. It could be a friend you reached out, you called, or you sent a message and your friend said, listen, I don't have the time for this. Let's do it some other time.
uh-huh,
The fact that all this builds within us the pain where it says, I'm not enough. Nobody has the time for me. I'm not enough. Something is wrong. And I'm just giving you small, small points. I mean, there is so much to that point itself where the word I am not enough comes from. So if you were to take me, for me, my I am not enough, um, I would say, which is a very difficult conversation with me, comes from my childhood, where I always felt I was not enough for my family. I was not enough for my dad. I was not enough for anyone in my circle that I belonged to. I was not enough because I did not feel protected when I needed my dad to protect me. I did not feel loved when I needed my dad to give me love. I did not feel love from my mom when she needed to give me love. So I grew up with that without sharing too much of my story. And anyway, it's in my book,
uh,
where I felt that I'm not good enough for my parents. If I'm not good enough for my parents, who am I good enough for? These people birthed me. They had me. They made a choice to have me. But I'm not good enough for them. They couldn't find it within them to protect me. If that is not enough, if I am not enough for them, who am I enough for? And that stayed with me. So I continued that in my adulthood. I attracted men who saw me as I'm not good enough, whom I thought I was not good enough. And I've married two men who were highly abusive of me, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially. I went through the trauma of losing everything to them until I met my husband, whom I'm married to right now, who has actually taught me the meaning of love. who has showed me the meaning of respect and who has shown me what being enough is.
Wow. This is so, I mean, so beautiful. And just coming back to something you said, Nazira, is that when we are children, I mean, obviously we develop protection mechanism from a very
Yeah.
early ages. And you see, I'm like you, I'm a mental fitness coach. I help people
Yeah.
understanding the saboteurs. These are these programs running on autopilot in our minds, which we, when we are not born with them, we develop them, particularly from a
Yes.
very early ages, like
Yeah.
being, for instance, a people pleaser, or for instance, being a perfectionist, or be or a hyperachiever. And we can talk about this. And there are these feelings where, for whatever reason, you mentioned, okay, we don't get the attention from our dad or our mom, so we feel rejected, or we feel abandoned, or neglected. And this, although it's not that it's the case, I mean, but this is what we internally think, and
Perceive to be.
exactly. And so when, for instance, we are like, we think we are not good enough, we can develop a tendency, for instance, to become a people pleaser,
Yes.
right? And
Very
actually,
much so.
yes, can you tell us a little more about this? Because a lot of us are here, way or another, people pleaser. What happens when we kind of try to really help others without looking after our needs?
One of the classic example of a people pleaser is someone who doesn't know how to draw boundaries. And it comes from the fact that as a child, you did not get the attention, the love, the protection from your parents. And then you grow to feel that I'm not enough. But if I were to do, if I were to do what everyone wants around me, if I were to help my friend solve this problem, if I were to actually for example, not, let's say it's a personal problem a friend has, and then if I were to step in and if I were to help her solve it, if a friend says, you know what, I can't, I don't have um the tools to deal with an issue that I have with a friend. But then you feel that, you know what, let me help you with this. Let me find a solution for you. Let me be the savior. Um, or another friend comes to you. This is a classic example that happens to me. A friend calls you and tells you, you know what, my husband did this to me. He has done all this harm, and he's done all this thing. And then the warrior in you rises and says, you know what, no one has stood up for me. Let me help you with this. Let me step forward and let me be the person who actually makes the call to the lawyer, calls your husband and says, why did you do that? Say this to your husband, do this, do that. The person who wants to control the narrative because no one can control your narrative for it, the person who's been abused, the person who's gone through it. That's the people pleaser who would not have any boundaries. Every boundary is down, and you just absorb every negative energy, every situation that comes to you, and feel that if I did this, I will be loved, I will be cared for, I will be accepted. It doesn't matter if that person is rude to you, doesn't matter if the person ignores you, but you still want to take the additional step. Another classic example I would give you, when I had a family member who actually was not accepting me. She didn't want to accept me in her life, but I was so desperate for acceptance because I felt now if she accepted me, I'm worthy of love. I would actually be someone whom, you know, I would be accepted into the family if that happened. So no matter how rude she was, I would go out of, no matter how rude she would speak to me rudely. She would ignore my calls. But should she ask me, oh, Nazira, you know what, I kind of don't have money to buy stuff for my children. I'm not able to pay for this, and I've got no way of doing it. I would actually find the money. Doesn't matter, I didn't have it, but I'll find the money and send it to her. I'll buy the things that she needs and send it to her. Just with this, just the mere hope of being accepted by her. It wasn't even love I was looking for. I was just looking for mere acceptance. And that comes from the fact that I always felt I was not enough.
Wow.
Always felt I am no one. I am nobody.
Absolutely. Well, and again, this is so profound for everybody listening, really. And it's because we believe in our subconscious mind that love is conditional.
Yes.
It's only conditional. And actually, Nazira, if we talk about one of these other saboteurs, which is the stickler, which is being a perfectionist,
Yes.
it has very similar roots as well. We try to strive for perfection because we think that this with this people are going to be happy. Our parents think, oh wow, they've got, when you see they're very happy when if we have a good mark at school. Oh wow, this is how they judge us, and then we strive for that.
Yeah.
But how does it? And I used to be a perfectionist myself,
I
and
remember you shared that with me.
remember, and basically, I see how damaging it's been for me. I wasted a lot of time, a lot of energy, trying to feel to look for kind of external validation, which was pointless. You mentioned something before, which is so important for all our viewers. Really, it's about, particularly if you are a perfectionist, the power of taking the first step, of
Yes.
taking actions from a place of purpose and alignment. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Let's take my book for an example. My book was never going to be ready. I would have continued editing it for another 2 years and it would never have been enough. I was so desperate. I would use the word desperate for my book to be perfect, for the reader who bought it to see everything so clearly, my words to be crystal clear. I sent it to so many editors to look at it and find, revise the words in such a way that it made sense. I changed my points so differently. My format was revised from the start to the end. I don't know how many times, so that it's whoever picks it up see that the clarity, sees the perfection in it, and that's what I wanted. But my husband told me this. He said, no matter how many times you write it, no matter how many times you edit it, it has to go out. There's no perfection. So it's time to publish the book. Put it out. You need to stop this. You need to stop doing this where you want to be in control of everything. Perfection is being in control of the situation because as a child, we grow up not, especially children who come from trauma. They grow up with no control over everything, anything. They grow up with control over nothing. So these are situations that you can control. So you become a perfectionist. You want to control everything, control the narrative, control how the situation is, control everything that's happening around you. And that's when I told myself, okay, this is enough. I'm stopping. And now I correct myself along the way. I tell myself there is no perfection. Everything is divine timing. This happens in divine timing. And I tell myself every time I start something, every time I put something out, I say, this is in divine timing. And I proceed with it such. And that has helped me so much. It's given me so much of peace, so much of calmness, so much of certainty. Because the certainty is not mine. It's mine. In a way, the certainty is mine. But that certainty comes from divine, comes from my creator. It's my creator who's actually said, have certainty and it's yours. And I go with that, everything that I do right now.
I have to say, I mean, it's beautiful, and
I'm sure you agree with me
of course,
because you have the same belief. You
but
practice that.
exactly, and you see now. I mean, it's like a mirror, when I listen to you talking again. For everybody listening, is you see, I always thought I needed something more, the presentation to be more this, but actually, it was, this was just, I made it up. I mean, it's like it was
In
not
our head.
needed. And you see, what happens is when you take action, imagine, and now there's this rule which comes from the Pareto rule, which is you think you've got 80% of everything, go. Because what happens is when you start doing, all of a sudden, things are going to flow. Of course, it has to come from you. It has to come from your deeper self. I mean, it's something you need to be aligned with. But when
Of
you do
course.
that, you will see things unfolding beautifully. And actually, of course, sometimes you need to correct things, and it's absolutely fine. You'll get feedback, and people will, you'll be able to change things if you want to, of course, and
Of course.
but when you do this, this is where what's going to give you the clarity, the confidence, and really the power. So you see, there's another expression which comes to mind now, and I'd like you to expand a little bit, is power of letting go, of surrendering to the universe, to
That's my
God,
biggest issue in life. Oh, surrender.
right? So,
I am still learning that lesson. Good Lord, I'm learning it.
well, but you see, this is something I'm really, doing. You see, something, Nazira, which I used to worry a lot. I used to try to control everything. Even, you see, I didn't even know anything about astrology or anything. But now I really am very interested in that. But you see, I'm Virgo. So, and in that side, apparently, it's very logical.
Systematic, controlling, I
Yes,
know.
exactly. But you see, there's worrying, for instance. Worrying is about trying to think about all, even the worst case scenarios. And this comes from the oldest part of the brain, our reptilian part of the brain, who's trying to protect themselves. But what happens is I used to worry a lot. And my energy was drained. So now,
Absolutely.
once I took the step, I said, okay, something might happen. There was a circumstance. I really decided not to worry. Okay, if this happened, it happens, but I'm not going to keep this and think. And you know what? When I started doing that, all of a sudden, wow, things change. Because of course, this worst case scenario nearly never happens. I mean, it's like, but all the time we spend about thinking
Yeah.
about this, it's really about, as you said as well before, living the journey and not being attached to the outcome.
Yeah. It is very much so. It is a journey, like I said from the start. It's not a destination. Our life is not a destination till the very end. When it ends, that's the destination we've arrived. It's the journey that we're going through, the path that we walk, the way we handle our emotions, the way we handle our situations, the way we react to situations. We do not have control over. There's one thing I want to say. I've come to learn, which has been very difficult for me, is I have no control over the other person. I have no control over what they say, their reaction, anything they do. But I have control over my emotions. I have control over how I react. I say it, I mean, outright, I would say, there are times I drop. There are times I react and I would say something really hostile because I have been cornered. But I take a step back and then I realize I'm on a reactive mode. And I tell myself, no, there is a lesson in this, and I'm not going to react to this. What is the lesson in this? I look for the lesson in the most difficult journey that I'm walking, the most darkest journey that I'm going through. I look for the lesson in it, and I find my lesson every time. Every darkest journey that is out there, we have been put in that to find our lesson in, to find what is the purpose behind it. And that's what I have done. I would never say that I did not crack. I would say I cracked and then I picked myself up and then I glue myself up together and I continue with it. That's being real.
Yeah, well,
That's being
absolutely.
human.
Absolutely. Again, so many things, resonate with me. First, you see, having certainty, when we have certainty, when really we have faith, whatever, universe, God in yourself, you know that you can work you can go on your path and you don't need any validation, or even some people try to, how do you say, discourage you from doing something. But actually, when they do that, it's got nothing to do with you. And you see, people react from their own fears, their own insecurities. And actually, this saying, which I found so powerful and really one of the biggest lessons in life, is to learn not to take things personally. Not because whatever people say
Yeah.
to you, whatever people do to you, in a way, it's got nothing to do with you. It's them reflecting their own childhood
Journey.
journey, childhood trauma, insecurities, fears. And when you really start understanding this, it's not going to change them, but it's going to change what we make
Exactly.
of them.
Very much so. Very, very much. And that's what I've discovered over the years. I
Well,
have control over myself. I have control over no one else.
so, and obviously, Nazira, so you helping, all these, I mean, obviously these entrepreneurs, these women, a lot of women, perhaps men as well, but
Yes.
and and obviously you've when they come to you and what's kind of the first steps you take with them? Because obviously people have different issues in lives. So how does it, like, a first conversation would look like? Somebody wants to work with you and
I have worked with a few hundred people right now, men and women. But my clients are predominantly female. But I think female are more apt at being vulnerable, able to share themselves than men, because men have always portrayed to be the stronger gender, where they are not, they can't show their vulnerability, so they struggle with it. Um, but anyone I've ever worked with, the first thing I ever do is I I talk to them about I get them to talk to me about their life. I start just having a conversation. I tell them, tell me the story. Tell me your story. I don't ask you what's your problem. I don't ask you what your issue is. What do you want to do? What do you want me to do? How can I help you solve? I tell them, tell me your story.
Mhm.
And when I listen to their story, almost everyone, I'm instantaneously able to tell where the issue has originated. And from there, I bring them and I help them see where the problem starts. And but then it's a long journey. It's a long, it's a long process of going through various programs, talking to them, finding out what are the issues. Later on, I would go through the things like what are the issues they want me to help them with, what is their pain point. Again, go back to where the issue comes from. I've helped people with financial issues, meaning to say where they're not able to succeed in the work that they're doing. Those I had a woman who came to me and wanted me to help her understand why no matter how much money she saved, she had it, and as she was going to buy her house, she would kind of spend every dollar she had so that she doesn't buy her house. I helped her see that. So I've had women who come to me and said, I don't understand why I'm unable to grow my business, the business that I have. I mean, I have so many clients. I have clients who come to me, but I keep losing all my clients. Every single time I'm able to project, almost always, it always went back to their childhood. Every
Mm.
single one of them, it went back to childhood where they had issues, and that unresolved issue was not helping them move from where they were.
Yeah. And you see, so powerful. The first you listen. You listen, just giving the space to someone to express themselves freely without fear of being judged,
Exactly.
being criticized, or of being given advice they don't want. Already that, I think each of us needs this. And when they have someone like you just offering them this space, this it's perhaps the first time in their lives they do this. So the question is as well, Nazira, how important is it to surround you with the right support people when you know that change is needed?
That's the most important thing. I am a guide. I am a spiritual coach. I am an energy healer. I do hypnotherapy. But I myself am surrounded by the same people who helped me through my journey. When you have the right support system, when you have someone who can lift you up, when you have someone who can hold space for you, and you know you're in a safe space, it helps you through the most difficult and traumatic situations. And that's where I come from because it happens. Life is a journey, like I said from the start. We have our ups and downs. There are very difficult days, there are most beautiful days, but both can be shared and both can help. Both can be shared. When it's a beautiful day, there's someone to lift you up. When it's a very difficult day, there is someone also to listen to you and lift you up and help you see from a different place. When you can't see it because your eyes are closed, your ears are shut, you're not able to sense or see anything. You can't see the beauty in you. Someone else will help you see that beauty in you. So surrounding yourself with the right support is extremely important. I say that to everyone I love.
Well, you see, Nazira, I mean, it's been such a wonderful conversation, and it's
Thank you, Daniel.
it's amazing. And you see, for someone listening to us today, and actually a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of them exactly with what we're talking about, feeling successful from the outside, but drained from the inside. And if it resonates, this conversation resonates with them, what are the first steps, let's say 3 steps they can take now to start this journey of repairing their inner foundation?
What I would say is The first three things they can identify is one, identify your belief. What is it? What is your belief? What is your belief about yourself? What is your behavior towards your belief? How do you handle the most difficult situations? How do you handle the most easier situations? What is the pattern that is coming up for you again and again? Find your belief and remember something. Your belief is not you. Identify that belief that keeps you in this pattern, this loop that's not allowing you to move, not allowing you to change. And take that radical step, take that most difficult step that despite this pattern that I see, despite this difficulty that I have, I am able to move forward. I am not my belief. I'm not my behavior. I am someone greater than that. Start working with that. The other thing that we must remember is the story that you have is real. Every one of our stories is real. It's our life. It's what we've been through. The pain we've had is real. But the meaning that we give to it is that's most important and most powerful. And we must remember to learn to separate the event that is happening from the meaning that we are attaching to it. We must remember to reclaim our authorship of our own life. It's your life. You are the author of it. Reclaim that. And I've been saying this throughout the whole podcast, the whole time we're talking. Healing is not a destination. It's a journey. You decide every day, I'm going to heal. It's a daily choice. I'm going to heal from this. And this is the step that I take. And believe it with certainty because it is yours. The healing is yours. That's a promise. It's just a step we need to take.
Well, you see, thank you so much. And obviously, I mean, this conversation, as said, has been fascinating. So if anyone listening recognizes themselves in this idea that, oh, we've got everything from the outside, but it feels draining or empty from the inside, you know that there's a possibility to change that. So, if this conversation spoke to you, please connect to Nazirra because her work is such a powerful reminder that healing is not about perfection. It's about becoming whole. So, Nazirra, if, and I'm sure many of them will, our viewers want to connect with you, what's the best way?
My name is actually on the screen right now. It says Nazirra Shaik. So
Yes.
whoever wants to connect with me, the easiest and most effective way is nazira.shaik@gmail.com. Drop me a note, refer to you, or just say healing, and I would know where it actually comes from. And we will be able to take it from there. And they could also look out for my website that says rebelsoulcoaching.com. They would see me on the landing page when they come on board. They could find me on my website. But I would say the most easy and convenient way is through my Gmail. So connect with me.
Exactly, connect with you. And I just, and the little point, if I may, is that you see, before we spoke about, the saboteurs, perfectionists, controller, people pleaser. Independently from that, if anybody is interested in knowing more about this, I just encourage them to go to my website, which is danielkobryner.com, and you go to this page about the programs. It's 7 weeks to mental mastery, and in a piece, and just take this saboteur assessment. Just take it. It's free, and because you might uncover patterns, and it's really fascinating. So it's complementary. But it's exactly in the same way. Discover who you are.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much again, and to all our viewers, I hope this was you got a lot from this conversation. And really, I have just one request for you. Please share. I mean, share with your friends, share with your family, because see what Nazirra is doing is so unique. It comes from her heart, from her soul. So you know what? There's always hope. There's always a possibility to change. So take the first step, share, listen, because sharing is caring, is loving, is giving. So thank you everybody for being with us today, and I will see you at the next